The fact that the Mavs have not fired Nico Harrison yet is organizational malpractice. I don't know what else to call it. They threw away one of the brightest young futures in the NBA with one of the brightest stars in all of basketball, in Luka Doncic, to create this ugly, no point guard, terrible offense, just gross product that we have on the court right now. And honestly, if the NBA wasn't rigged and we didn't have Cooper Flagg, the future would be extremely bleak. Now, I don't know how to word this. Thankfully, the NBA is rigged, so we have Cooper Flagg. I don't know how to say it, but I'm glad that Cooper Flagg is a Mav. I'm excited to watch him continue to develop. I really do think he's going to be a great NBA player, despite what is a rough start to his career. The reason it's a rough start to his career is because this roster is terribly built. Nobody stays healthy anyway. It's a disaster. Once Kyrie's healthy, yeah, this is a decent team because they'd have an actual point guard. But at the end of the day, Kyrie's not a 1A option at this point in his career on a consistent night-to-night basis. He's not going to be able to carry that level of load and stay healthy. And that's okay. But Anthony Davis can't stay healthy, period. Doesn't matter what the load he's trying to carry is. The same can kind of be said for Derek Lively, unfortunately. I really like D-Live. I think he's a very talented player. But honestly, he needs a good point guard in order to maximize his talents, and the Mavs do not currently have that. I like Daniel Gafford a lot. I like P.J. Washington a lot. I like Najee Marshall a lot. Clay is kind of washed, I think, unfortunately. But I like Clay a lot, too. Like, I like this team. I think Brandon Williams is an interesting, talented bench point guard. This is an interesting roster. But the fact that they traded away Luka for nothing, not nothing, but for what they did, in the way that they did, still haunts me as a Mavs fan, and I don't think it's not gonna haunt me for quite a while. But it's made worse when you're 2-5 losing to the freaking New Orleans Pelicans, who might be the worst team in the Eastern Conference so far this year. I was just updating. Okay, no, they were 1-6. Now they're 2-6. My bad. The Pelicans won their second game. The Mavs are now 2-6, not 2-5. With a brutal loss to one of the worst teams in the NBA. Not to mention Pelicans didn't have Zion. Not to mention the Pelicans don't have their first round pick. We talk about bleak situations. The Pelicans are that. That's the team you're losing to. And I mean, not to take away from the Pelicans, I think Herb Jones is a good NBA player. Trey Murphy's a very talented NBA player. Wasn't efficient tonight, but Sadiq Bey had a great game. Jeremiah Fears is going to be really good. Derek Queen, I'm very impressed by. Like, they have some stuff there. Now, they don't have their first round pick. Tough situation. Sure, I'll make a Pelicans video soon. But it's not a team you should be losing to. It's just not. They have... Nico Harrison truly traded Luka Doncic in order to build a terrible offensive team that's also not as good defensively as they're supposed to be either. It's pretty embarrassing. And he bet the future on Anthony Davis, who can't stay healthy, and Kyrie Irving, who... I'm sorry, I love Kyrie. Also, I mean, he's been relatively healthy the last couple of years. I'll give him that. But promptly tore his ACL, which was unfortunate. Obviously, that wasn't something that you could anticipate happening. But if they didn't have Cooper Flagg, man, things would be looking really, really, really bleak for this Mavs team. But honestly, as a Mavs fan, it feels really bleak regardless. Like, they're not going to make the playoffs this year, probably. I think that's clear. But the future is relatively probably bright with a guy like Cooper Flagg as a centerpiece for your team. You have some real talent there and some and a real guy who I think you can build around in multiple ways, a quality offense and a quality defense as he continues to progress. He's 18 years old. Like, I'd be lying to say the future isn't bright, because when you have a talent like that, good chance the future is going to be pretty bright. At the same time, it is brutal to watch the Dallas Mavericks, man. It's hard for me to watch this team, and I love the Mavs. I am a die-hard Mavs fan, have been my entire life. Well, pretty much since I can remember anyway, and I just have a hard time watching them these days, man. It's ugly, it's clunky, it's not pretty basketball. They're not an efficient offensive team. I mean, the stats will tell you the story, even just the basic stats. Lowest scoring in the league by over 1.5 points. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing. Field goals attempted. You would think, like, this is an incredibly important stat, but they're bottom 4 in the league in field goals attempted per game. Very, very slow-paced offense. Three-point shooting, they are bottom 3 in basketball in three-point shooting. Even free throw shooting, they're only about middle of the league. Like, I guess, you know what? They are towards the top in free throw shooting, so I guess the ugly mashing at the rim basketball does produce a decent amount of fouls. But look, they're not an efficient team in any way. Field goal percentage is 44% as well. It's not an efficient offense at all. It is the worst offense in terms of scoring so far this year. And it's not even a great defense either. That's the other thing. It's like, you'd think, okay, they're going to give up this offense, but I can't believe they're this bad offensively, and they're really bad. Their offensive rating is way worse than everybody else. But the defensive rating, while not horrible, is 7th in basketball, which is like, okay. But when you're the worst offense in the league by a mile, you better be the best defense in the league by a mile. And they're not. They're a bottom 5 team in basketball right now by net rating. And honestly, I'm not completely certain they're that much better than a bottom 5 team, especially in a loaded Western Conference. Now, if we're comparing them to a lot of the Eastern Conference teams, they're definitely not a bottom 5 team in the league, probably. But let's just look at the standings. How many of these teams in the Western Conference are the Mavs better than? The Kings, the Pelicans, despite losing to the night, I do think they're better than. The Grizzlies, based on injuries and some stuff, maybe there's an argument potentially. And the Suns, I'm not confident in. The Jazz, I'm not super confident in. And obviously, Walker Kessler just got injured out for the season as well, which is a shame. Nobody in this top 9, I feel confident putting them over. Even the Clippers with their struggles so far this year. Even the Trailblazers, they're more feisty and competitive and entertaining, I think, than the Mavs are. They're way better offensively than the Mavs have been so far this year. I mean, look, this is a team that at best might sneak into the play-in. At best. I'd be surprised, honestly, at this point if they even... Well, Kyrie's going to come back. They'll probably find a way to sneak into the play-in. But that being the best case scenario, when we're going to go watch Luka win MVP on the Lakers, and if not win MVP, be an MVP finalist and probably average 35, 9, and 9, and do ridiculous, absurd things, and win playoff series by himself, and continue to be one of the best players in the entire sport. And I have to sit here as a Mavs fan and just think about the fact that that should have been my player on my team as a Mavs fan his entire career. Luka didn't want to leave Dallas. You don't trade generational superstars who are also beloved by their fans and by the fan base in their city. Luka was the heart and soul of Dallas sports, and they traded him. I'm sorry. I know it's, 8 months later now, and it's, okay, move on. I wish it was that easy, man. I really wish it was. But with the amount of passion that I have for the Mavs, it's just brutal to see this team in the state that they're in now and know what could have been and what was. You know what I mean? And the honest truth is, as much as I think Cooper Flagg is a very, very talented NBA player, who else on the Mavs roster is the type of guy that is a building block young piece? Maybe Max Christie is somebody who kind of falls into that category. Derek Lively, you would hope, but he seems to really need a quality point guard to be at his best, and he can't stay healthy. And is there anybody else on this roster that we feel confident about being a long-term piece to a young core? No, there really isn't. That's the honest truth. And it's a shame to say that, but you look at their picks. They have their own pick this year. They don't have their pick next year unless it's top 2, which it won't be top 2. They're not going to be bad enough to get a top 2 pick unless they get unbelievably lucky again. 2028, they will get a pick, but it'll get pick swapped potentially if, they'll almost certainly get pick swapped and wind up being a late first-round pick because they'll get OKC's pick. They have 2 picks in 2029. Yay, that's you traded Luka for. But they don't even have a lot of... I mean, not that second-round picks are super valuable, but they don't have second-round picks. They don't have a bunch of extra firsts. Only one, and they're going to lose their 2027. Like, let's be real here. This isn't a good roster. I mean, for building for the future anyway. It's not a great roster at all. And they're just $1 million below the second apron. That's it. They have very little flexibility cap space-wise. They really don't have great assets. And the honest truth is, I don't think they have much of a young core to build off of besides Cooper Flagg. So as much as I think he's great, how bright really can the future be? I don't know. Are we looking at a situation where in 5-6 years, the conversation is Cooper Flagg wants out of Dallas because they haven't been able to build anything around him? I hope not. Dallas is a big market. They tend to figure things out and be pretty competitive most of the time. And obviously Cooper Flagg falling into their laps after trading Luka was nothing short of either the NBA is rigged or unbelievable luck. But, man, it is brutal. It is so brutal to see where this team has fallen and what they have become. It's hard to watch. It really is. And I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not going to watch very much this year. I haven't watched a ton of the Mavs so far. Probably not going to watch a ton of the Mavs going forward. Fire Nico. That's my final takeaway. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.